there's a lot going on here. Now, when we look at the skulls on these birds, this is the skull of a red-tailed hawk. When we look at a red-tailed hawk's a familiar bird. Everybody sees a red-tailed hawk. You see it soaring in the sky, or you see it sitting alongside the roadside or on a telephone pole. If you were a hawk or an eagle or a falcon, what sense would you use the most? Your hearing or your eyesight during the day?
My hearing.
Eyesight? That's right, you're going to be seeing things. That's why that hawk sits so high up on the tree. What is the advantage to being so high up?
You can see all around.
That's right. If you ever climb a tall building, you look out, you can see further. If you're lost in the woods, they always tell you go to the highest point so you can actually see further. Well, think about how this hawk hunts. It's either sitting on the tallest tree at the top so it can scan more, or it's soaring around, scanning and watching. They have binocular vision. They can see precisely a mile away a rabbit running. Now, this skull is the funniest skull you'll ever see. It's the skull of a great horned owl. Now, if you look at it, the eyes are frontal, like having headlights on a car. I know you kids aren't driving yet, so you're not getting this too well. Headlights on a car so you can see directly in front of you, right? Well, think about it. The owl's eyes don't move at all. Everything is sighted this way. They don't move at all. Owls don't really fly around at night out there. They'll fly from one place to another, but owls like to sit closer to the ground. If you were an owl on a moonless night, and you were waiting for a mouse, would you use your eyesight or your hearing? You can guess this one.
My hearing.
That's right. You're going to sit patiently on a log close to the ground, listening for that mouse. Now, why would you want to be closer to the ground if you're listening? What is the advantage to being closer to the ground? That's right. You can hear all the noises in the forest. Isn't that cool? That's pretty neat. So now we're understanding how these birds work and how they hunt. It's kind of cool stuff. It's unique stuff. It's very amazing stuff. Now, when we meet the owl, we're going to find out why the feathers go around its face. Heart shape or circle. There's a reason for that, too. Now, can I ask the group, what is this? And it's not a cat hairball. It's nothing like cat. What is it?
An owl pellet.
An owl pellet, correct. Do all birds of prey, raptors, regurgitate a pellet? They don't. You say no. Actually, the answer is yes. Now, a lot of people ask me, well, why come we don't dissect eagle pellets or peregrine falcon pellets or red-tailed pellets? The reason is the birds' digestive systems are different. The diurnal birds of prey, we'll use a red-tailed hawk as an example. When a red-tailed hawk comes in and makes a kill, say a squirrel, people don't like squirrels too much, I don't know why, and eats the squirrel, he knows exactly how to break the bones the right way and swallow those pieces. When those pieces go down, it goes into what we call a crock, which is a sac in the esophagus. And on a red-tailed hawk, it can get to the size of a baseball. That's how much it can fit. And then he'll go sit in a tree, preen his feathers and fix them, and every so often, for 6 to 12 hours, you'll see him sort of move his neck like this as he moves bits and pieces of that down into the esophagus, into the stomach, which is part of the gizzard. The gizzard is part of the stomach. On an owl, there is no gizzard. It goes directly to the stomach. So if you were to dissect a red-tailed hawk or an eagle's pellet, you're not going to find any bones. You're going to have a hard time identifying who he ate. You might find feathers or scales. It might be scales. It might be fish scales. There might be fur. Might be feathers. Very few bones are left because the stomach acids are so strong. When an owl swallows something, it goes directly to the gizzard. There is no crop. So when an owl regurgitates, and the kids can look at this afterwards, you're going to have more of the whole bones in the skull. In fact, the teeth are still going to be in the sockets of the mouse skull. It's pretty cool stuff. I think it's neat. Fascinating things. So that's why you don't dissect a red-tailed hawk pellet. Now, one of the things in the wings, actually, what is this? Can I have the boys and girls ask me what is this? Do all birds lay eggs?
Yes.
Yes, they do. Okay. Trick question. I want to make sure you're paying attention. Okay. Are there any mammals that lay eggs? Because I always say the creator wanted to make jokes. Are there any mammals that lay eggs?
Platypus?
That's right. That throws a loop into the whole thing. Like, oh my word. Such wisdom went into this. Birds lay eggs, and we eat eggs because eggs are great nutrition. Okay. This is what a peregrine falcon egg looks like. Now, peregrine falcons are cool birds. They don't really build nests in trees. They actually lay these fragile eggs on the ledge of the cliff. Since mankind has built skyscrapers and great cities, pigeon populations, peregrine falcons have found that it's a great place to live. You have ledges, and you have a source of food, pigeons. So we have peregrine falcons living in cities of Boston, even under the Braga Bridge. And these fragile eggs just sit on ledges with very little debris around them, and they hatch and the birds don't fall from great heights. It's pretty cool stuff. Hey, does anybody know what happened to the peregrine falcon about 30, 40 years ago? Why did all the peregrine falcons in North America perish?
DDT.
That's right. What is DDT?
It's insecticide.
Okay, pesticide, very good. I want to explain something about DDT. DDT is a pesticide that was used way back in the 30s and 20s. It's an efficient pesticide, too efficient because it doesn't break down. Pesticides today are designed, we have the wisdom to figure this out, designed to take out the insect at the crucial time when the insect is a problem. And then it becomes inert or harmless. DDT doesn't do that. DDT goes right through the food chain. Unfortunately, DDT is still used today in third world countries to control malaria, which is a very dangerous disease and kills people. So they have to use it, but they try to moderate it. DDT is banned in this country. We don't have it anymore. In fact, DDT was showing up in people because we eat fish. We're not so removed from nature as you think. We depend on nature for our food, hunting, fishing, and when we eat these things that have these toxins in them, we are not immune and it can harm us. And that's why we stopped the DDT. But the peregrine falcon really was the key to this. When the hen ate the birds that ate the insects that had the DDT in their system, what happened was the DDT would get into the fatty bodies of the peregrine falcon, making her eggs thin-shelled, so thin-shelled that when she laid them and sat on them, they never hatched or they collapsed and they died. So all those peregrine falcons, the peregrine falcon's life expectancy is about 25 years. So all those birds have perished in North America that had the DDT. How did we bring back the peregrine falcon?
Rehabilitation centers?
Actually not rehabilitation centers, something that you probably would never even imagine. Something that happened 4,000 BC. What was 4,000? That's a long time ago. What was mankind doing 4,000 BC that had something to do with birds of prey? And I practice it today.
Hunting?
Yeah, hunting. Do you remember what it's called? It's named after the bird that they use. Falconry. Falconry is 4,000 years old. It's an art form. Now I always imagine in the village, some child had a lot of courage. It always seems to be children that the adults encourage to go play with animals. Probably somebody saw a nest of falcons or some sort of hawk and said, those birds are so efficient at getting game, and I'm so hungry, I'm trying to get game for my family. I wonder if we could take one of those birds and train it. Somebody got the courage to go up to the nest and take a baby out, and they raised it, and they found that the bird would come to you. You could call it, you could do things with it. The art of falconry was born. In fact, they were breeding birds of prey 300 BC. They already perfected the breeding of peregrine falcons. So when the peregrine falcon became in trouble in this country, we already had the knowledge, the wisdom, to actually know how to correct the problem and breed more peregrine falcons. Now, this goes back to wild populations. Remember, a bird of prey is an apex predator. That means it's a predator on top of the food chain. It cannot overpopulate. It's impossible. Their numbers are governed by how much food is available. That is it. And in fact, when a peregrine falcon lays 5 eggs, not all those eggs are going to hatch. A bird does not lay all its eggs in one day. They're laid over a period of 5 days. When she incubates the eggs, they do not all hatch at the same time. They will hatch over a period of 3 to 4 days. The older chick, because it's nature and how they survive, is the one that's stronger and is going to survive more than the last egg to hatch.